go into Google and type the words athletes are. The top two suggestions are athletes are overpaid and athletes are paid too much. And it does not take much to understand why. Take a look at basketball superstar LeBron James. According to Forbes, LeBron brought in approximately $121 million in 2022. $80 million of that was brought in through brand deals, sponsorships, movies, and talk shows, whereas the other $41 million was brought in as a salary. Meaning that the LA Lakers paid LeBron $41 million to play for them in 2022. That amounts to around $3.4 million every month, or about $112,000 every single day. Compare this to doctors who, on average, make around $214,000 a year. So, it takes a doctor, a person who in many cases saves lives, 1 year to make as much money as LeBron, a basketball player, does in 2 days. These mind-boggling figures are why so many believe that athletes are overpaid. However, this is not the full story. It's easy to pick the best athletes in the sport and say they're overpaid. However, a better and perhaps fairer method of evaluation should be to take a look at all athletes and take a look at average salaries. Because bear in mind, the athletes we often see on our screens and those demanding high wages are usually the best of the best. Let's go over to England and take a look at their football league system. The English Football League pyramid is made up of 11 fully professional leagues, with the Premier League being the most prestigious. The Premier League is the league that people all around the world watch and follow. If there is a football player in England that you've heard of, chances are they play in the Premier League. These 11 professional leagues consist of almost 300 clubs and employ more than 10,000 players. While the average Premier League player makes around $1 million a year, the players in the lower leagues make far less. The players in the fourth league, for instance, make around $104,000 a year on average. When we look at the average of all professional leagues in England, the average salary of a professional football player is less than $100,000 a year. Admittedly, this is still great money, but it illustrates that the idea of becoming a professional athlete means millions of dollars is a bit far-fetched. Because, as was mentioned previously, the athletes we're used to seeing on our TVs represent the best in their profession, which is why they're paid a lot of money. The same holds true when we look at doctors. Top 1% of doctors in the US make around $4 million a year. Based on this, some might say that while the average professional athlete is not overpaid, the top athletes are definitely so. So, let's isolate this to only the highest paid athletes and analyze whether they are truly overpaid. While it can be easy to argue that the highest paid athletes are also the most skilled ones, that might not be true in all cases. I mean, LeBron James is definitely one of the best to ever play the game, but from a purely skill-based standpoint, there might be a person playing in a lower league somewhere in Europe that might be better than LeBron. Plus, is LeBron's skill really that much better than the average NBA player so that it warrants a salary of 4 times higher than the average NBA salary? So, the idea that top athletes deserve their huge salaries because they're so much better than the others is a bit flawed. The true reason these athletes command astronomical salaries is because of their value. The more value something has, the higher the price it will demand. This is fundamentally why we pay more for clothes made by high-end brands. We believe that these high-end brands will give us more value because they are a symbol of status, and thus we easily spend a few $100s to buy a t-shirt when we could arguably buy a similar t-shirt for much less. And this is what the highest paid athletes have done brilliantly. They have transformed themselves into high-end brands. The LA Lakers do not pay LeBron $40 million a year because he's the best basketball player. They do so because they are also buying the LeBron brand that comes with the player. LeBron playing for the Lakers has had a huge impact on the franchise. Average tickets for a Lakers game increased 400% when the LeBron transfer was announced, showcasing a huge increase in interest to watch Laker games. Furthermore, the LeBron Lakers jersey has topped NBA jersey sales for every year ever since LeBron James moved to the Lakers. All this resulted in more financial gain for the club, which has ultimately played a huge role in the franchise's value. According to Forbes, the LA Lakers was valued at around $3.9 billion in 2022, almost 2 times higher than their valuation before LeBron joined them. Even the city of Los Angeles benefited from this move. Some reports suggest that the LeBron move to the LA Lakers would bring in 3,000 new jobs to the city and will have a 5-year economic impact of $400 million. And in other sports, the impact of an athlete's brand is even more apparent. Cristiano Ronaldo, a Portuguese football player and international superstar, joined Al Nassr, a Saudi Arabia football team owned by the Saudi government, in January 2023. Ronaldo is paid around $200 million a year while playing at this club. And it is apparent that Ronaldo's soccer skills do not justify the salary. Sure, he is one of the best players in the history of the sport, but at 38 years old, age is catching up to him and he has seen a gradual decline in performance. However, Al Nassr does not pay Ronaldo for his skills. Instead, they pay him for the immense impact he will have on the club, and more importantly, on the entire Saudi football community. Ever since Ronaldo announced his move, the Saudi Pro League saw a tremendous increase in international exposure. The league now has broadcasting rights with broadcasters across Europe, something they did not have previously. These deals will generate hundreds of millions in revenue, and more importantly, Ronaldo's move there has incentivized more international players to join the league, which will ultimately help improve it. Finally, Ronaldo's move there signals Saudi Arabia's intentions to become an international sports hub. They are investing in football infrastructure and will be using Ronaldo as an ambassador to help with their bid to host the 2030 World Cup. This shows that Ronaldo is being paid $200 million a year, mainly because of what his personal brand brings for the country, rather than for what he can do on the pitch. It's difficult to imagine any profession that can justify salaries in the tens or hundreds of millions. However, once you understand that the top athletes have worked hard to create a powerful personal image, this starts to make sense. Clubs are willing to pay mind-boggling wages, not because of their skills, but because of the economic, social, and political impact the brand of these athletes can have for their club, city, or even country. And when you take this into account, it makes it easier to understand that athletes are not actually overpaid.